So this is a capsule. It's moving in the world and rotating on the sides like this. Inside you got the first person camera, which are the player's eyes. It only goes up and down. You can see the weapon is moving with it. It's actually following the line of fire, and the line of fire is following the camera. So the line of fire is in green here, the weapon is here, and in pink you got the projectile trajectory, always starting from the end of the barrel of the weapon mesh. Whoops, sorry, you shouldn't see this. Alright. So below the camera you get the line of fire in green, and what you can see, the camera is not moving anymore, but the weapon is following the line of fire. The weapon is always tied up to the line of fire, always, except for few cases like zeroing, and I will explain next. But right now all you gotta understand is the weapon is like a child of the line of fire. And this is very useful for a recoil system in which we don't want the weapon to be always tied up to the camera, as we have right now in the public release. So what happens is when you fire, the line of fire is having a little kick in any direction. Actually, you can configure this. It can be on like this, and the weapon will follow it. So it's gonna give a nice recoil effect to the weapon, looking natural. That's most of the that's the main use of the line of fire. But it's the other use is also to define where the projectiles go. And so in pink you got the projectile trajectory, and so the weapon is always following the line of fire, but animators, they might want to add few animations bobbing to the weapon to add a bit of realism. For example, when you move, you don't want the weapon to stick like this. So what we do is we add a bit of movement when you move, like to simulate a walking motion. But then the line of fire is the weapon is lying on where the projectile goes. As you can see, the pink line is always following the green line, and not the weapon. But the bobbing of the animations, the bobbing of the weapon are very small. I mean, like this, it's a bit exaggerated. Those are only a very small movement like this. But it's still a lie, of course. So if designer decide to make the projectile going straight forward and the weapon is aiming slightly on the side, it's going to be a small problem. That's why I had to introduce the deviation back in the game, because if we add few movements like this, we want the projectile to be moving a bit randomized, like a deviation, just to simulate the bobbing, the movement, and add a bit of inaccuracy when moving. So the special case, so the reason we did this is because, and why we didn't made the line of fire following the exact motion of the weapon mesh. Actually, I'm gonna explain this after the last thing, which is the zeroing. I'm gonna explain exactly why we decide to go this way. So let's say we want to use a UGL, and we want to add different angles to the weapon with an adjustable sight. So what the animators will do, so that's not the right weapon, but let's say the animators they make pose for each angles. So we got this one, we got this one, we got this one. So the animators, what they had to do is take the two sides and align it. So the work of the animators is fully depending on the model, on how the model is looking, on how the site was made, and eventually on how the texture, if we got values on the site. So the animators, when they're done with it, what you're gonna understand is the animators, what they do is they align the site with the center of the screen. That's all, the only thing they take into account. And then they send the animations to the game, and then designers take care of the zeroing values. What they do is they will take, depending on the way, so they're gonna set up the grenade physics values, and then they're going to set up the zeroing values. So what's gonna happen is when the player select a different angle for the site, it's going to do this. So it's going to apply, so the camera is still aiming forward, and the line of fire is going to aim up or anywhere, depending on the site selected by the player. And then what we need to do is adjust the animation, apply the right animation to the weapon as an animation bobbing, but right now it's in order to look like it's following the line of fire. So we apply the animation and it will go like this. But now, so I'm gonna explain the reason why we decided to go this way. It's mostly for zeroing, but it's also for animators and artists in general, not to have to rework all they've done, depending on if there is a problem with the weapon's accuracy or stuff like that. So obviously what we want is the players to have a sight which tells him where is the center of the screen. But let's say there is a problem with the model or even with the texture, and the animators, what they had to do is make the weapon oriented like this because there was a problem. And what's gonna happen is the designers, they won't have to bother because they set up the line of fire, and even though the weapon is not aligned perfectly anymore with the line of fire, it will shoot straight and the grenade will go as intended. Now what happened is the projectile is perfectly aligned with the weapon mesh. Well, the problem is if we go into this case where the animators have had to make it aligned in a weird way, but that's coming from a problem with either the texture or the model. Well, it's going to bring a problem when the designers are testing the weapon, because now the projectile will go here and it won't land anymore and where they want. So they're gonna say animators, okay, animators, can you bring it back to how it was, like this? And the animators will say, okay, but the sight won't be aligned anymore with the screen, and the player, he won't know where to shoot, what to aim with, what to use to aim. So we're gonna have to ask the modders to adjust the sight of the model in order to have the right orientation when aiming and have the right projectile trajectory, which is a fucking pain in the ass in the end, and it's gonna take ages to get UGLs and other weapons like this properly done. So I hope you get the point. So yeah, zeroing is probably the only case during which the weapon mesh and the line of fire are a lot different, as you can see. But again, this allows designers not to have to ask and wait for the artists to finish readjusting the models and the animations. They can just have fun with it, whatever the animation is doing. And once they're happy with it, they ask animators to, or actually animators should be done already, but well, I hope you get my point. And yeah, that's it.